Buckle your seatbelts, bitches. It's time for the Nighttime Show. Tonight, we have our head writer, Matt Walker. We also have me, the voice of the Nighttime Show, Mike Black, and our very special guest, author of Kicking Through the Ashes, His Life and Stand-Up, writer of Roseanne, Becker and Titus, Comedy Store regular, and you've seen him on Roseanne and Dr. Katz, Ritch Shydner. And now, the man who the YMCA shower room calls he who is most unclean, Stephen Kramer Glickman.
Yo! Well done, Mike. Well done, you sexy bastard.
Thank you.
I feel like we should get a blood pressure monitor put on a mic while he does the announce and see how the variation changes.
We burn a lot of calories doing that.
I do 12 calories every time I do that.
It's hysterical.
At least.
Rich, we're so lucky to have you on the show. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing great, man. Great. Yeah. I like it. I like that energy up front.
He's got a lot of
you.
energy. There's a lot of energy happening here.
Yeah.
It's all of it. That's all I have all day. I use up my allotment.
shot, huh?
Yeah. I'm
Well,
exhausted now.
Last night we watched the movie. You ever do this? You ever watch movies with friends over the phone? Do you ever do that?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Who do you do that with?
Well, I used to do a lot with Bill Hicks.
Wow.
Bill Hicks,
Oh,
who
my
used to
God.
watch television shows at the same time or the news. He loved it. He was a phone guy.
Yeah.
So I could do that for a while. But a guy named Mike McDonald from Canada, we still do it once in a while. We'll get on and
nice.
call, this is on, look at this. You know, and then you just start. I love that. I used to love to do that all the time. Yeah.
That's so great. Last night, Mike and me were watching
Carrie.
the
original.
The original.
horror
Yeah,
movie.
yeah.
And just talking shit the whole time, you know.
And what's funny is we'd never seen the original before.
You'd never seen
We'd-
Carrie?
We'd
No.
seen the remake of it.
Oh.
And so we kind of knew what was happening, but we knew the shittier version of what was going to happen. You know, we were like, well, her hand's going to pop out of the grave. Oh, it's much cooler in this because it's a dream.
Yeah.
Right.
In the one we saw, it actually happened, and it looks stupid.
yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
No, the original's a really good movie.
Yeah, it really was.
And then you just go down through all the stars that became people who became
Oh,
stars
yeah.
out of that.
Yeah.
Travolta.
Yeah,
Right.
Travolta. You pointed him out. I was like, what? And the guy
Yeah.
from Greatest American Hero.
Yeah,
Yep.
William
William
Cat.
Cat.
Yeah.
And
Holy crap.
there was Cheswick from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I don't know his actual name.
Chezuru. Chezuru. They're getting on you, man. They're getting on you. Chez, do me a favor. Stay off of my side.
And like her drenched in blood. This is so weird, but I was like, Sissy Spacek, kind of hot.
Yeah.
Kind of hot when she's
Drenched in
covered
blood.
in blood.
But she's covered in blood.
But only when she's covered in blood.
It's a very
That's not
niche market she's got.
Very weird. After the movie ended, we got off the phone, and then I started watching this movie, a Stephen King movie called Thinner, okay, which is
This
a
is like
movie.
a
It's
fat
not a
guy
good- not a good
nightmare.
movie.
1997 movie. All right,
With the gypsy?
He's a gypsy, and he touches
Now, was
the guy's
the
face.
gypsy-
Thinner, and then he gets real skinny, right?
It starts off
This
with a
is
guy in a fat
diet
suit.
thing or something? A diet?
yeah, he kills a
It's a weird,
gypsy.
weird superpower, by the way.
Yeah, it was real weird.
It was a gypsy curse. It was like an
Gypsy
evil
curse.
gypsy curse. He hit a fellow gypsy
In a car.
with a car.
right.
Always a mistake.
And so
He's getting a blowjob
the
from his
gypsy
wife.
leader who looked a lot
which is
like,
rare enough as it is. And
Right.
then double down by hitting a gypsy.
Yeah.
How often that can happen? Getting a blowjob of your wife is rare, but then to hit a gypsy, that's double rare.
I think he just let the guy off just for
Yeah.
A, being fat and getting a blowjob while driving.
Yeah, because
B,
But doesn't
hitting a
that-
gypsy. How often do you hit a gypsy?
It doesn't sound like much of a curse,
Yeah.
the thinner thing. It sounds more like a blessing. You can make money doing that.
yeah,
but
pretty,
it's
that's
thinner
not bad.
till you die is
Right,
the problem.
yeah.
It's like you just keep getting
It started at Mike and went to Glickman and then went up with me.
Right.
And then he died.
Real nice. And then he
Basically,
died.
that's how it went.
exactly.
What was so mind blowing is that they keep weighing him throughout
Yeah.
the movie,
Yeah.
and I'm watching every time they weigh him, and I'm like, oh, that's what 230 looks like. That's not so bad. Yeah, yeah. And then they're like, oh, now he's 170. I was like, it's okay. I get that. He never got thinner than Matt Walker is alive. Like,
Yeah.
like
How
his
thin did he get?
thinnest.
I don't
like,
remember.
At his thinnest,
Yeah, he was
like
at death's
100
door, and he
was
looked like Matt Walker.
130 pounds. How much do you weigh?
$127.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. thing. They go, oh, he's 130 pounds. He's about to die. I was like, Matt Walker has like been this weight his whole life. I don't know.
Yeah.
How do you run that brain on that little body?
Not very well, but not very well.
Yeah.
And the gypsy looked like Buddy Hackett.
Yeah.
Like with long hair. I was like, is that Buddy Hackett? What a weird gypsy choice they made.
I swear.
I'm going to curse you thinner, but first, two Jews walk into a bar.
Oh, my God. That's so funny.
And I'm actually 10 pounds heavier than I was in high school.
Oh, God. I hate you so much.
You bulked up, huh?
It bulked up totally.
And
I
it's
got
all
fat.
penis is the worst part.
You know, Rich, sometimes he'll call me in the middle of the night and he'll go, hey, guess what I'm doing right now? I'm like, what? He goes, I'm going to get donuts. I'll go, fuck you, man. And
I'm like, I'm going to eat a half dozen.
He'll eat like 6
And I'll
donuts.
just eat them all.
By
Really?
himself.
Yeah. You just can't gain weight. You've
Something
never
like-
checked to find out if you have like a tapeworm? You're like like a science fiction thing. There's like a 6-foot tapeworm.
Yeah, there might be.
Do me a favor. What do I need?
Matt
What do I
Walker
care?
may be a tapeworm.
Yeah, I was going to say, in a skin suit.
He's like, they've evolved. They're really passing. They're passing now.
I'll get real nerdy. I'm like a trill on Star Trek. I got the worm inside me.
The actual Matt Walker was a really nice guy.
Yeah.
This one just, you know.
Tapeworm Matt Walker is a dick.
He is.
That's hysterical. So, where, Rich? Let's jump back for a minute. Where did
Hey,
you?
let's stop all this fun.
Let's go back to the old days when. Where did you start out? Where did you begin? Where did you grow up? Where'd you grow up?
New
Rich?
Jersey.
New Jersey. Where in New Jersey?
Southern part, right across from Wilmington, Delaware, a place called Pennsville. A small little factory town. Everybody worked for E.I. DuPont.
Is that where your parents worked there too?
No, my dad was, he had a little business. He had a little insurance business, homes, house, fire, that kind of
Insuring the people that work at
Insuring the people at
DuPont.
DuPont. That's right. Insuring the people who worked at DuPont.
Did most of your
That
friends?
sounds like a good job.
Everybody's dad was on shift work, man.
Yeah.
Everybody's
Everybody
dad
was?
was on shift work. 3 to 11, 11 to 7, 7 to 3. I can remember today. When you come over to the house, they go, shh, quiet. Old man's on shift work.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Everybody's dad worked for DuPont. Man.
What about your mom? What did
She's a
she do?
housewife back then,
Yeah.
50s, 60s housewife.
Who was funny in your family?
My dad.
Did you have funny people?
My dad loved comedy. I mean,
Nice.
and you really had comedy albums. He like look back. You can't say hipster because he was not a hipster, but he went out and saw comedy. He went out and saw stand-ups.
Really?
So Moms Mabley, Bob Newhart. I mean, early '60s, he saw comics. He went out to nightclubs. There was a place called the Latin Casino up in Cherry Hill, and then he'd go down to these Atlantic City nightclubs. There were black nightclubs at the time.
Yeah.
Down in Atlantic City, you go down and see comics there. Like he'd say Red Fox. He saw. I mean,
Man,
Dad
he was
loved to
seeing
go-
like the cream of the crop
yeah, back
at
in the
that
'60s.
time.
Yeah, he loved
That's
to go and
awesome.
see. He loved to go see stand-up comedy, and he loved to see comedy. He just loved it. And when comedy came on Ed Sullivan's show, you did not breathe. You did not breathe. The old man wanted his fix.
Yeah.
Don't even laugh.
Yeah.
Don't-
So he was
don't
either
laugh
real
really often.
angry and swinging fists, or he was laughing.
Really?
So you learn to be funny if you want to duck. you know?
Yeah, right. Holy crap.
Yeah. So my dad was like, that's who he was. I mean, so he had comedy albums, and then back there, like Red Fox. And he actually had like, the party albums in the back. And then
nice.
Then I remember he came home once, and he came right home, man. He put it on The First Family, but he put that on because he was a Kennedy fan. So he put that on, and we must have played that like 5 times in a row. I mean, he just played the whole thing. Let's play it again. And I'm just sitting there going, laughing, and then just watching him laugh, and then we just sit there and listen to it. Just listen. I mean, I can remember it. I mean, he was a huge comedy fan.
Wow.
So that my dad was definitely the guy.
Did he get to watch you do stand up?
Yeah, but he didn't like me. He didn't think I was funny.
Really?
No, man. I did Tonight shows. My dad never called.
Wow.
Never. I was going to law school. I quit law school to do stand up comedy.
Holy shit.
So he kind of treated it like I got kidnapped by a cult or something. Right? So I tell you what turned it. There was like a big moment. It's in the book. I'd done a bunch of Tonight shows. I did one where I made you come out and they go, you might have enough time to sit on panels sometimes.
Yeah.
I was one of those guys. There was enough time I sat. If not, go back. I had about 14 of them. And so Johnny gave me the sign, the fingers, and then I look over and they were like, no panel. So instead of just turning and walking back to the curtain, for some reason I decided to do like a gunfighter. I pulled the jacket back, and I look at the audience and I back up to the curtain like a gunfighter, right?
Right.
And Johnny, I got the tape. Johnny's laughing.
Yeah.
He's laughing.
Amazing.
And Ed McMahon goes, "What's he doing?" And Johnny goes, "He's doing a gunfighter. It's great." Right?
Hysterical.
And my dad called me the next day. "You made Johnny laugh, man. You're good at this." And that was it. It was like the monkey off my back, man. It was like, you know what I mean?
That's
But I was like,
amazing.
shoot, I was like
So that was
11,
hard.
12 years into my career by then.
Oh my God.
So yeah.
That's some hard-earned approval.
Wow.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah. Listen, when he saw first time we watched a comedy show together, it was Garvin's in Washington D.C. and the show was David Say and Richard Belzer, and I was the MC. Right, it was like the house MC. This was the first paying comedy club on the East Coast, Garvin's in Washington D.C. So my parents were going through to Florida, and they stopped, and we're going to see the show with you. So we're sitting there and watching the show, and I did my thing, and I come off, and he goes, "You're not smart enough. You're not sharp enough. You can't go to New York City. You can't hang with these guys." And it was like almost in my mind at that moment, I went, "I'm going to New York City."
Yeah.
That was like, because I was like, oh, I'm gone. I'm gone now. There's no doubt in my mind, I'm gone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
that
gives
was
you
it.
that sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes having that kind of push behind you, that
Push against you.
Yeah, that
well, but
push against
we
you.
had a rough relationship, man. We had fist fights growing up. I mean, I didn't win.
Right.
I shot at him with a gun.
What?
I
Did you really?
We went hunting, and I saw an opportunity. That's the truth.
No
He knew it. He knew it.
Are
He
you
knew
being,
it.
Are you being serious?
No, I'm being
That really
serious. He
happened?
knew it. Yeah.
Dick Cheney read
never,
his book.
He
and that's
never
why
took me hunting again, man. He took my brother's hunting. Never took. I was the oldest. He would never. He knew. We talked about it years later. We
You
talked
shot
about
at him?
Yeah, what I
you
did
hit
was
him?
I had the gun rested on my arm like this. How you carrying it, right?
Yeah.
And it was a single shot 410. I was only 12 years old, but I was so angry at him at that point. I was just so angry, and he was walking over to my left. So I moved the gun around and I squeezed the trigger. I knew it was safety was off. I had the safety off. I squeezed the trigger, blast, hit it right near him in a tree, right near him. And he goes, "What the fuck? What are you fucking?" And I said, "Oh man, I was just." I thought the safety was on. I was checking to see if the safety was on. You're checking to see if the safety's on by squeezing the trigger? You're so stupid. He was like really pissed, but I was like, he knew. Wow. He knew and I knew.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, but we cleaned it up. We all cleaned it up.
So, of course, authorities that are listening, just so you know, his dad lived a good while after that story.
I didn't hit him. That's why they gave me a 410 to begin with.
Right, exactly.
They wanted to send the boy out there with a 410. Do you have a BB gun? Give him that too.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's
But that was
incredible.
we had my dad drank and he was rough. He was rough, and so I was angry, fearful little guy. I mean, if I wasn't, my fight or flight thing is real. It was like I would joke a lot, or fight, one or the other. I didn't have any kind of in between negotiating skills, no kind of confrontation. Let's talk about it stuff.
Oh, hey, real quick thing before we continue. It's so great having such wonderful guests on the show, but I really, want to take a second away from talking to our guests to just talk about something really cool that just happened. I just had a fireball moment, Mike. I don't know if you...
Oh, that's great.
Another fireball moment.
Yeah,
That's great.
just recently, I've been having these, and they're just fantastic,
Just crazy stuff happens.
Yeah, like sometimes you drink Fireball whiskey. When you drink Fireball whiskey, everything just gets heightened. We have a lot of fun. When we do the nighttime show, we give away, Fireball whiskey to the first 100 people that show up to our show, and everybody has such a great time. So after the last nighttime show, I had a couple shots of Fireball whiskey, and I'm wandering down the street down Melrose, and I'm having a really nice time, just kind of wandering. And it's late. It was late. Cars are kind of zipping by, and I'm just, it's L.A., baby. I've had a couple drinks, so I decided to call Uber, and I'm sitting there waiting on the side of the street for my Uber to come, and instead of an Uber, a Pegasus showed up.
A Pegasus.
A winged Pegasus.
A winged Pegasus. Yeah, winged. Is it winged or winged?
Was that your
Winged?
Uber? Like you were going to ride it
Winged.
home?
Are you saying winged or winged?
Winged.
Winged Pegasus arrives. It's all white and glittery. It's got these gorgeous wings. And I was like, hey, I called for an Uber, but
Are you that funny guy from TV?
hey,
You're
yeah.
the funny guy from TV.
Wow. Hey, it's so great to meet you, Pegasus. How cool.
Oh, we've met before.
We have?
We've always known each other, but I only come out when it's fun.
Oh, wow. Well, I'm having fun. Are you having fun?
Oh, we're gonna have even more fun.
You want to drink some Fireball whiskey with me, Pegasus?
Fireball is in my heart.
Yay!
Yes. I'm opening. Pour it down my throat.
There you go. Oh, wow.
Oh, yes! Yes, it's so good! Oh, yes! Oh, yes, I love it! Yeah!
Wow, this is amazing. Hey, do you
No,
want
no, Uber, let's fly.
do you mind if I
Let's
get on
fly.
your back and I fly with you?
Yeah, let's fly to the Pacific Ocean.
oh, well, I gotta go to Hollywood, but okay. I got on the Pegasus, and I was too fat. However, I gotta say, super nice, way nicer than.
Sounded very pleasant.
Yeah,
It sounded like he really enjoyed the Fireball whiskey.
he really did. He had a really great time with the Fireball whiskey, and
like almost an unsettling amount of enjoyment.
Do you feel bad about putting him in the Pegasus Hospital?
I felt
Trying to sit on him?
I felt like a little bad, but he was real sweet, and I made a new friend, and that's what Fireball whiskey is all about. Is sometimes
Absolutely.
you make a new friend when you go out at night, have some shots of Fireball whiskey. You never know what's going to happen because you may just have a Fireball moment.
A fireball moment is a great moment.
All right, back to the show. How has that affected stand-up as far as like dealing with dealing with hecklers? Or dealing with,
I wrote this book. I came from like when we grew up, the way my comedy came from, like the guys sitting around ragging on each other. We used to call it, you're ragging, busting balls, right? Yeah. So that's where I came from. So I was used to that. So if somebody came at me, I would play with it. I mean, I could tell if they were coming at me just to see. Sometimes the heckler's just seeing if you're there that night. Are you there? Are this like remote control? Are you gonna show me you're here?
Right.
Yeah. They're testing you. Why are you flying the plane? Let me see why you're flying the plane. And you show them, they go, okay, go ahead, man. You got it.
Yeah.
That's different than the one that's going, I'm here to mess you up, man.
Right.
Yeah.
And you can tell. I can usually tell. And sometimes it may take a heckler or two to tell, but you can usually tell.
Yeah.
And there's a difference, So I'll play with them. They want to play, I'll play. But if you come at me hard, it's in the book. I got in a fist fight on stage once.
Really? Did you really?
Yeah, it was 81 in East Lansing, Michigan. It was a place called Wits End. And I found out later because the guy, when I put this on Facebook originally, the story, and then I pulled it off and rewrote it. And the guy who was the club owner was on there and saw it and contacted me and said, there's some stuff that you didn't remember or knew. But it was a former biker bar. They turned it into a comedy club. And they had a lease. The biker bars guys still owned the rights. If he bailed out early, they got to take over the place again. So they wanted him to fail. He said they sent those guys in to heckle. So what happened was I go in there, and there's pool tables in the back of the room, right? There's pool tables are still there. So I told the guy, the owner, you're going to shut those pool tables down, right? When I start doing the show, right? Oh, yeah, no problem. So I get on stage. There's guys back there shooting pool. Now, you're in the room.
It's
bam.
noise.
No way.
They're timing it, man. They're just like, seems like they're timing. Every time I read a punchline, crack,
Yeah.
So I go, hey, guys, look, hey, if stop playing pool, and I'll play when we get off. I'll play you for beers, man. We'll play, And they're like, fuck you. I'm like, really? Okay, and one of the guys had an REO Speedwagon T-shirt. Right? So I saw that. I went, yeah, really? REO Speedwagon? That's that limp dick band. You think that they're a limp dick band now, and they're going to be a limp dick band when they bury you in that raggedy T-shirt? And I was like, I went after him, right? And then he throws down the cue stick and rushes the stage. Yeah. So I knew right off the bat he wasn't that. If you're going to go to a bar fight, keep the cue stick. Right?
Yeah.
He throws it down. He rushes.
You got a mic stand. He threw down his one.
What gets me is he's climbing up the stage. He reaches up like I'm going to help him. So I pull him up. I bang him. I used to wrestle, so I wrestle him. I'm doing like deliverance jokes. I got him up going, squeal like a pig. And I'm like, but I forget we're in a fist fight. I forget. So he's hitting me, and then I started hitting him. So we're getting a fist fight. So finally I knocked him around a bit, tossed him off stage, and the bouncers pulled him out. But there's the thing. My shirt's ripped. My hair's all messed up. I'm all scuffed in the face. And I turn around and go, so anyway, as I was saying, like I'm starting to do my act again. I think I'm going to do my act again.
Right.
And the audience is like, oh, no, you're a nut. You're not a good nut. You're a crazy nut. Once you show real anger, you lose them.
You're done.
Yeah,
right?
no way.
And so years later, I tell this story. I've been hanging out with Robert Klein. I'm working with Robert Klein.
Amazing.
And he goes, I did the same thing. I said, Klein? I go, you? He goes, yeah. He was doing a bowling alley in Brooklyn or something, and he got in a fist fight, and he said, I tossed the guy aside, they threw him out, and I turned to the crowd like I'm going to do comedy again.
Oh, my God.
Same story.
That's incredible. I was at the Laugh Factory the other night, and they had me go up at 1:15 a.m., and I go up on stage, and like 2 minutes into my act, this fucking guy sitting near the front in shorts and black socks is sitting there, and I go, thanks so much for wearing your good shorts to the show, right? And the guy behind him goes, just do your fucking act, man, and starts yelling at me. The guy behind him, and I was like trying to piece it together of sometimes I would make fun of the guy in the back, and the guy in the front would talk shit, and I was like, I couldn't figure it out, and then finally I figured out that they were cousins, and then I was like, and then I just instructed everyone to tell them to fuck themselves, as much as possible throughout the show. But it was just such a nice reminder, because I did a show here at the Improv, a beautiful Hollywood Improv, earlier in the night, and it was like, I went up at like 8, I don't know, 10, 15. Audience was happy. It was nice. It was easy. They were listening. I was like, wow, this is so much fun. And then like literally 2 hours later, everyone's like, fuck you. No one's interested. No one wants to hear material. And you're like, oh God, so weird. It's so bizarre. You go up, you perform at the Comedy Store a lot. Mike, late in the
late night. It's like performing on a pirate ship late at night. It's a lot of fun, but there's a lot of like people missing limbs and shit, and like
I love that,
throwing things at you, and they're more rum, and they want to recruit you. That's half of why they need someone to swab the deck on their ship or whatever. But it's fun. But there's a lot of like a guy got blown away last year out in front of the place, so it's like
a guy got
it's getting rougher than it
in
used
front
to
of the club.
I thought I was in the back.
Store.
Really?
I was supposed to go up next. The guy who was on stage was doing his act basically to me because it was real late at night. There was like maybe 2 or 3 other people in there. And we hear this pop, pop, pop. But to me, it sounds like fireworks. And it's summer. And I'm like, and I saw like a little red spark over the window, out to sunset. And so I'm not thinking much of it. The girl behind the cover booth gives a look like, I'm going to go check that out. So she walks outside, then runs back in and goes, it's real. And so like we all look out the window now, and the guy has left. And so now there's just dead guy on the ground, and we're like, oh, this is going to be bad for business. but like luckily it wasn't.
And it wasn't at all.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Nothing.
But the guy wasn't a comedian or anything.
Impact the club.
When that incident happened, by the way, I've never seen more people take something that's not about them and make it about them in Facebook posts.
Oh,
every freaking comic that was there that night, every post was like, I was standing right there on the patio.
That's Facebook. That's Facebook.
And I'm like, you bunch of fucking pussies.
Yeah. I was more upset that I was next.
Yeah,
on the lineup.
Your spot. You didn't get your spot.
Do you know the day after 9/11, my father...
Oh my God, that's the worst.
Oh,
that's
God.
the worst.
Oh, that was the worst.
Oh,
I hate
worst
the
day.
post almost as much as I hate the memory of 9/11.
Oh my God.
4 years before 9/11, I was in New York. I was right there. If I'd have stayed 4 years and lived there for 4 years and was there that day, it could have been me.
I got a phone call from my father 2 days after 9/11 going, I just want to let you know that I almost died in 9/11. I said, oh my God, what happened? He goes, well, I was scheduled to be on a plane that day. And I said, like in New York? And he goes, no, in Tulsa, Oklahoma. But I was going to be on a plane. And you're like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Everyone forgot about the Oklahoma sect of Al-Qaeda. They extraordinarily motivated those guys.
That's the real untold story. There were over 800 planes hijacked that day.
Yeah,
but only 3 of them crashed.
Yeah, exactly. The rest of it just said, we'll watch this movie instead.
4 of them, whatever it was for.
So how did you go from doing stand up in New York to making the leap?
Actually, I started in DC.
You started in DC.
I started in DC. There were no comedy clubs, and I was just banging around there. And a lot of my early work was opening up for rock bands, opening up for in concerts all the time. A lot of that.
How did that go? Because in my experience, every time I've ever opened for a band, it has been the most miserable freaking gig I've ever done.
I had no other thing it's the only work I could get.
Okay,
it would pay.
Yeah.
I mean, my first job was opening up for Ramones. That was my first gig.
Yeah.
My first paying gig. A place called the Child Herald in D.C. on DuPont Circle, and they had played live music. Springsteen played there in '72. They had a contract behind the bar. I was a place where I did my neighborhood, so I drank there a lot. And I've been doing comedy for just a couple months, just the coffee house stuff and hanging around.
Yeah.
And my buddy was a bartender, and he told the owner, who was this wild guy named Bill Hurd, and he was legendary club owner down there. And he comes over to me and says, hey, look, you want to open up for this group? I got coming in next week. It's for $50. I was like, $50?
That's more than I get paid most gigs
I was like, I'll do it. I didn't ask who. It was not a big room. It was like an 80, 100
$50. Who books that?
Yeah.
Seriously. I'll fly to DC for $50 these days. That's a good paying gig.
And I was like, this is 1978, I think, something like 77, whatever it was. It was just, and I show up the next week, and it was just every angry young guy in the metropolitan area was there.
Wearing leather.
A lot of flannel,
flannel, right.
leather. It was punk hadn't quite developed the explicit dress code yet.
Yeah.
So it was just anger. That was the general mode. You could dress as you want as long as you brought anger.
As long as you're mad.
Yeah, as long as you're angry. Right. And that's what it was. And you could feel it. And I go back to the bar, and Bill Hurd, he's laughing, he goes, they're going to kill you, man. You're not making 15 minutes in front of this guy. I mean, he didn't care. He was like laughing. And I was like, I'm going to do the 15 because I wanted the 50. It was like a rodeo event to me.
Yeah.
I'm going there till the buzzer goes. I don't care.
Yeah.
He goes, I'll go double or nothing. Double or nothing. You don't make 5 minutes. I go, I'll do it. And you know the deal, man. It was like, I don't they introduced me. I don't even know what they said, but all the audience heard was, ladies and gentlemen, not the Ramones.
Yeah.
I mean,
right.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Small room. It was a small room. I had to walk through. It was not like I came from behind a curtain.
Yeah.
It was a 6-inch riser right in the middle of the room. This little stage. You barely fit 4 people on it. They told me when Springsteen was there, they had half the band off the stage in the audience.
Because it couldn't fit.
Right. And so they just walk up there, right through the crowd. They're screaming at me as I'm walking up. Yeah. I get up there. Nobody can hear a thing I said. Told me. Yeah. Some people said that back later. They didn't even know I was up there. And it was because it wasn't long.
So loud, yeah.
So I have this little act. I have no improv skills. It's not like I could do anything. And so I just do this little act from A to B to C. And I talked for about a minute maybe, and this guy in the front just had mugs of beer. They had mugs of beer. And he just shot his beer at me, just hit me with beer. And I just took it. Like I just held on to the mic like an ocean spray. Anyway, back to Mac. My mom said, right back to Mac.
Hey, free beer. $50 at a beer.
Next guy hit me. Next guy. They just all started throwing beers at me. And so Bill Hurd saw me because I'm right next to the amps and the drum kit's right behind me. So that beer's throwing. He just got the money out of the back. Come on, asshole, come get your money. He's waving. And I walk off and I go back and I go through there was no dressing room, just a kitchen behind the bar. And I go back there and the Ramones are standing there waiting to go out. I walk in, I'm soaked with beer. And one of the Ramones goes, "Hey man, cool act." Like that was it. That was it.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah, and the thing is, Bill Hurd, this is the thing, Bill Hurd, and then he hired me again. He said, "That was fucking great. That was great." So he hired me. So I kind of next time I did well. The next time I did well, right? Yeah. And then he do my act the first time. So whatever act I had, I did it next time. It was open for a bluegrass band or something.
Okay. Yeah. Different crowd.
Right, different.
Yeah, the good old blues boys.
Time, so he says, "You do it again. You're like my house," because he was saving money because a lot of these bands had recording contracts, so the companies require him to have an opening act. So if a local band would cost a couple $100, he's paying me $50. He's loving it, right?
Yeah,
so
genius.
The third time I come out, he's drunk, right? I come out, I start doing my act. He goes, "That's the same shit you did last time." Like he doesn't know that I'm going to repeat my act. I'm not paying for the same shit. He's heckling me. He comes up.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah, he was a wild guy.
Oh my God. Who else did you open for? Any other bands?
So many. Here's a good. I opened up for. Have you ever heard Peter Tosh? He was with the Wailers.
Yeah.
So he's one of the original Wailers with Bob Marley. But anyway, 81, he's out on tour himself, and it's like, I think Marley just died, so it was a packed. It was like he was really doing well on the tour because it was like so. There's a couple thousand people in DC again, and Rich Hall was another comedian who's a friend of mine, and Rich Hall had opened up for him. So we're talking on the phone, and he said, "Listen, I just opened up for Tosh the weekend before in Philly. I'm telling you, don't go near backstage. Don't go near. I got a contact. I can hardly do my act." And I'm like, "Well, Rich doesn't. I'm smoking all the time. I'm drinking. I got immunities built up.
Sure.
Right? I got resistance. So I go that night to it's Lisner. It's a big George Washington University, I think. And so I'm backstage. I'm virtually the only white guy back there. And they spot me real quick. I'm nervous. I'm pacing. So somebody must have told me he's the opening act. So they go, "Hey, funny man, come over here." And one of the guys hands me a burning baseball bat. I'd never seen a joint this big. When they said split, I'd never seen it. It was huge. It was huge. I didn't even know how to hold the thing. And first of all, I've been smoking a lot of weed, but it was all shake weed. It was all like cheap shake weed back then. This was Jamaican. That was just stuff in a song.
This is Bob Marley weed.
Yeah, exactly.
This inspires you to write songs.
Exactly. 2 hits, and they're introducing me like I'm on water. I mean, I can't even. My buddy said, I came out, I laughed for 15 minutes, and I left. And he said the audience laughed. He said, you know what I mean? The only thing that saved me is they were as high as I was, and they thought they were laughing at what they thought I was laughing at. You know what I mean? It was like and literally, he said, you didn't do a joke. You didn't do a joke. You came out, you started, you just laughed, they'd laugh, you'd laugh.
That's hilarious.
And that was it.
That's a great act, actually.
Yeah, not
Get up
bad.
there and just start laughing.
Yeah.
No one's ever
I opened
thought
up
of
for
that.
a lot of bands, a lot of Chicago, which was big. It's still the late 70s. I opened up for Rick Danko, who was one of the band members.
Do you remember if Rich Hall had a bit that he used to do?
Sniglets, that was his thing.
Well, but he had a lot. He was a very inventive guy. He had a lot of.
Yeah.
He actually did he did one thing. He
He
used
did
to
with groceries. Did he do a thing with groceries on stage?
Yeah.
That's one of the first comedians I ever
Really?
saw on television. Was Rich Hall? Is he still?
Now, were you more excited
around?
about the comedy or the
He's
groceries?
in England. He has this character, this country western singer character he does in England. He's really big.
Yeah,
and he has a ranch in Montana, and he goes back and forth between England and England.
Wow.
The two comedians that I watched on TV when I was there were three comedians I watched when I was a kid on TV, like 8, 9, 10, right around then. It was Rich Hall, Kevin Meaney,
Whoa.
who just passed.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh man, love that.
So
guy.
sad,
So funny.
and
Love that guy.
Mark Maron. Those were the three that I watched on, and it was on like the A-List, or it was on some show like that.
Yeah.
And but I remember Rich Hall in particular doing this thing where he would bring out different brands of like cereal and Tide and all these things, and he'd have jokes, and he would just keep bringing out brands and putting them on the table, and it'd be part of the brands would be part of the act. It was very, very funny, and it just always.
You know,
killed me.
it's funny. He was one of the first comics I ever saw before I even started doing it. In 1975, there was a place that like a little coffee house in Philly. And I just happened to go in there, and he came up and did stand up comedy.
Wow.
And 76 somewhere, 75 somewhere in there. Yeah, he's a very funny guy. He used to do a bit where he'd take one of those old those old cassette recorders, cassette tape recorder, right? It was like a black thing, it's about the size of a shoebox, right? And he put it there, and you know those noses with the mustache and the glasses, right?
Yeah.
He put one of those on it, and that was his. And he introduced him as a comedian, and he'd have it timed out, so he'd turn the tape on, and he'd go off and he'd heckle it. And it was
Right.
perfect on time. He'd heckle the thing.
Heckle the guy.
And then the guy would
Yeah.
start, and then the tape would start giving him shit and tell people to throw him out of the room. It was a really, really brilliant bit.
Really funny stuff.
Right.
Jeremiah Watkins, who's a buddy of ours, he does his opening thing in his act now is a pre-recorded whole thing where he's like, hey guys, do you want to hear an impression? But it's all pre-recorded, and then he goes, here's an impression of Samuel L. Jackson in Snakes on a Plane, and then he's like, he plays the actual recording, and then he mouths the words.
That's funny.
It fucking destroys. It kills.
Sure.
Yeah, I love inventive like weird stuff.
Yeah, I like
who
it.
was your inspiration? Like, who were comics that you were looking up to? You know, that you wanted to
The
be
obvious
like?
ones at the time. I mean, in '72 when I was 19, I got the first Lenny Bruce album. This guy turned me on to, and also at the same time, George Carlin's Class Clown came out, which blew me away. That blew all of us away. I mean, first of all, I never heard anybody doing comedy like that, and then the 7 dirty words, the whole thing. And then there was Robert Klein, which I saw not that long, like 73 or 74. I saw him live, and then I saw Carlin not long after that. And so those were the guys who I was like, I didn't even know what it's called. And Martin Mull, I love Martin Mull. I saw him in concert once. I mean, it was in a like a small theater in Wilmington, Delaware, around '74. And he would tour with his living room furniture. He came out with like the set of Fernwood, really before Fernwood. And it was those were the guys who I listened to a lot.
Is that crazy though, that how this business works, that people that you're a fan of, this is one of the only businesses that's really like this, where people you're a fan of, like you're like, oh man, I've always been a fan of this comedian, and then you start doing stand up, and within like a few years or a couple years,
You're working with them.
You're working with them. You're around them. You're friends with them. I mean, you got to write on Roseanne, which Martin was on that show, and then you got to become friends with Robert Klein, which is completely insane. Like,
I got to work with him, which is I haven't been doing it that long. He had a radio show back in like '80. I moved to New York in '79. So in '79, '80, he had a radio show that I went on there first time I went on there, and before I walked out, he's introduced me. I'm like it hit me. I mean, I just was stopping. I went, it's Robert, Robert Klein. I had to go, this is Robert Klein. It's like, to me, it was a big, huge deal.
insane.
My favorite of that time, and I couldn't say he influenced me because Albert Brooks was my favorite. I mean, I used to scour the TV guide and the newspapers every day to see if he was going to be on TV that night. And because there was nobody recording. This is 1970s, so there was no VCR or anything.
If you missed it, you missed it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I was crazy about it. And I never met him. This is a true story. I haven't even put this in a book, nothing. This is just true. Never met him. And all those years in that, Kevin Nealon, not Kevin Nealon, excuse me. I can't even think of his name right now. the impressionist. Oh God.
Kevin Pollak?
Kevin Pollock.
Sure.
Who does this? He would do this killer Albert Brooks thing.
Yeah.
And he knew how much he'd like leave messages on my machine as Albert Brooks, just teasing me, just And it was like a thing with me. And so then about 5 years ago, my son is going to the same elementary school as his daughter, and I'd see him at a couple parent things from Auckland. I go, I'm not going to say anything to him. I'm not going to go over and bug him. I'm not going to, you know what I mean? But it's like I saw him, at a couple events, and then one day after school, my son's talking to his daughter, and there's nobody else around, and he's 10 feet away waiting for his daughter to finish like I'm waiting for my son. I just
Are
said,
you like, we'll be in
I said, that's it. Forget it. I'm done. I'm going to go say something. I walk over to him and I said, Albert, you don't know me. He says, I know who you are. You're Ritch Shydner. You're funny. I was like,
Wow.
Done. Yeah.
Done.
Mission
Done.
accomplished.
That's it.
Right there. Yeah.
That's it. That was the second one, Got my dad, got him. I'm done.
Yeah.
Did you
That's it.
just
Wrap it
leave
up.
immediately?
No, I mean, my son said he remembers. He said, we sat in the car. He said, you sat in the car for a long time. I just sat in the car. My son still remembers. He was like 10, 11 years old. He goes, Dad, you just sat in the car. Yeah.
You'll understand one
You're
day.
like, you were talking to Mr. Brooks, then you went in the car and just sat there for 10 minutes. What's the big deal? It's Mr. Brooks. It's
I see him all the
his
time.
daughter's hot. That's all I care. His daughter's hot. That's all he was thinking.
That's right.
What did Mr. Brooks say to you?
I know, yeah.
How old was this? How old was your kid at the time?
He was like 11 years old.
Oh my God, man! Do you have you seen? Have you guys stayed in touch at all?
No,
Ever seen each other?
I was too stunned. I mean, really, it's like one time a friend of mine who was named Joe Grishek, he was in a band, and I used to open for him. And he took me up to Springsteen's house here when he lived in L.A. And he was recording with him. And Springsteen's my guy. I mean,
From New Jersey, you have to be. It's
and I got
in
out
the
there, and
New
it's the
Jersey
same
State
thing.
Constitution.
It's the same thing. I'm just like this, I get out there, I'm not funny at all.
Yeah.
I'm not funny at all.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm just like,
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You stand there in shock for a little bit.
Yeah. He just came out of the cave. Jesus just came out of the cave.
Yeah.
What am I going to say?
Yeah. What are you supposed to say to him?
Yeah. Well, we hung out all afternoon. It was like funny. I mean, these things happen. I made him laugh, but totally accidentally. Totally. You know what I mean? Like one time they were like goofing around. I didn't realize they were later until they were goofing around. They were playing guitars, recording something. They go, hey, Rich, we need some like rhythm on this, man. Can you just take a tambourine there and just bang along with it? I'm good for like 1, 2, then I lose the beat. You know what I mean? So they're like laughing. They're laughing at me. They go, man, you lost it fast, man. That's unbelievable. White boy with no rhythm whatsoever. I made him laugh, but not really intentionally.
Oh, God,
Well, at least you have good people that you're doing with. Like I remember the time when I got real excited was when I met Wink Martindale.
Oh,
And
I remember
I couldn't even go over and talk to him. We're at some event. I was there with Glickman, and he's like, and I'm like, oh my god, that's Wink Martindale over there. And Glickman's like, who the fuck's Wink Martindale? I'm like, he hosted Tic Tac Doe. The host of Tic Tac Doe was over there. What do you mean? And he's like, you want to meet him? I was like, I'm too nervous. And then eventually I got over there. And then I Wink Martindale, and I got a picture with him, and I was all like, I was flushed red because I was so nervous. I was like blushing. It was
so
the
funny.
risk is that when you do this, like I've heard stories that people go over to like the guy they idolize, right? And then the guy's an asshole to him.
Yeah.
They lose that guy. They lose that guy. So there's that risk. But I've never been. I was on a plane once. I used to love Waylon. My mom was country western, so I grew up a lot of country western, and I loved Waylon Jennings and Willie Nelson. Those guys. So I'm on a plane. Waylon Jennings sitting right behind me. I'm thinking the whole flight, what am I going to say to him, man? I tripped on acid in Colorado, your music, man. What am I going to say to this guy, right? And get on the plane, we're getting our luggage out overhead. I just turned and said, I go, Mr. Jennings, I sure do appreciate music. And his eyes glazed over and he goes, I appreciate you appreciate my music, son. And I was like, oh man, like cliche 5 goes back, cliche response 5. You know what I mean? Like he just went, I've heard that one 6,000 times. Here's your answer. And I was like, I blew it, nothing. I had nothing original to say. I just choked right out.
The two people that I've met where I literally couldn't. My words just didn't work. One of them was Luke Skywalker.
I thought, why are you pointing at me? It wasn't me.
Mike Black.
Mike Black.
Friends.
You're Luke Skywalker.
I'm so. I just can't.
I think I was pretty gracious about it.
Very nice.
Mike was the tauntaun in that scene.
But yeah, Mark Hamill, that would freak me out.
It freaked
too.
me out a little bit. I got a little. I couldn't talk really, and I just said I really liked you're my favorite, and he went, Okay, all right, that's nice.
All right, it's nice. You're
This guy
special.
with special needs comes over to talk. I just was like, I just like everything. I like you. I got nothing. I couldn't put two words together. I was so fucking embarrassed. And then I asked for a picture with him, and it was really awkward. And then same thing with George Lucas, as I met at him at the Anti-Defamation League 50th anniversary event thing, and we're both on the red carpet at the same damn
A great
time.
place to schmooze.
Yeah, a great place to schmooze. Oh, you kidding me? There's so many people to schmooze and something like that. So many Jews. And so I look over and I see George Lucas, and he's there with his wife. And I was like, Mr. Lucas, I just want, and as I start talking, you know, he has that like chin beard, like, you know, face thing. The longer I talked to him, the bigger the chin got. Like he just his head just retracted away from me like a turtle and just tried to get away. His face was trying to get away. It was so embarrassing. It was awesome. It's just like, okay, all right. Thank you.
You should do the thing that I love doing where you bring up the work that they hate. Where you're like, where you go to, like, I would go to George Lucas and be like, you know what? I really enjoyed Howard the Duck.
Yeah.
Like, I would tell him something like that just to be
an asshole.
an asshole. Yeah, it's fun.
So you would take your one chance with him.
Yeah, and just purposefully
George Lucas do?
sabotage it.
How about if he laughed about it? He might
laugh. That would
see
be
the
fun.
humor in it.
That would be fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be my shot. Because who brings up Howard the Duck to George Lucas?
That's exactly
Nobody.
it.
I'd be the
That's
one
it.
guy who brings it up.
I sabotaged myself
Yeah.
where on my birthday, I was like my 35th birthday, I think, at the Comedy Store. I was out at the front bar, and Steve Simone texts me saying, "I'm bringing the hot rod to meet you."
Roddy Piper.
Roddy Piper. And I was like, well, I better have a drink before that happens because I'm a huge fan.
Yeah.
And like growing up in the 80s, wrestling, big fucking deal to me. So a drink turns into a couple drinks because it's my birthday and people are like, "Hey, he's drinking. Let me buy you a drink too." By the time Roddy Piper gets there, I am shit-faced. Like just completely where the point where you're not even verbal anymore. It's just like maybe a word will sneak into the mishmash of crap.
Yeah.
And so I see him and I'm thinking about is They Live. And he comes over and he says something to me. I don't know what it seemed like, a positive thing, whatever he was saying. And he was holding something. And I'm like, yes. One time, Ric Flair. Thank you. And I have no fucking clue what I said. The next day, I called Steve Simone. I was like, did I dream meeting Roddy? He was like, no, he gave you his autograph. He gave you an autographed headshot of him. And I was like, did I say anything terrible to him? He was like, you didn't really say anything to him, but you made him laugh and he had a good time. So I was like, thank God. And the autograph, though, was great because it said, I came here to kick ass, chew bubblegum, and celebrate your birthday, Roddy Piper.
Oh, very
my
nice.
God, that's
Fucking awesome.
amazing.
Nice.
great.
You're a big
incredible.
wrestling fan back. So I was a wrestling
yeah.
fan as the 60s.
Oh, okay.
So Andy Kaufman, the first time he did a wrestling, he came into the Improv in New York. So he comes in with Captain Lou Albano and
yeah.
Freddie Blassie.
Yeah.
Classy Freddie Blassie.
So I recognized him.
Yeah.
So I go up and I talk to them. So they must have said something to Andy because Andy comes over and he goes, "Listen, I'm going to do this wrestling thing tonight. Will you play the manager for the women?" I go, yeah, okay, all right, yeah, I know. He said, we're going to do I'll yell and get in your face and give you a fake. I said, yeah, I got it, man. I know how to do this. This is cool.
Yeah.
This will be great.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
it's the first time. So I was the MC. So I bring him up. This is like 1981. And Andy Kaufman's a big name.
Yeah.
And so it's a 200-300 people packed. I go, Andy Kaufman, place goes crazy. Ah! Big star. He walks in. He gets on stage. They're like loving him. He's got like this crappy little sweatsuit on, And he goes, I love women. They go, yay. He goes, you know what I love them best? We're in the kitchen cooking for me. Cleaning my house. Cook. That's where they belong. In the kitchen cooking for a man. Because I'm a man. And all of a sudden you hear boos starting, rumbling and a couple of nervous laughs. Is this funny? Then he keeps going, man. He keeps going with it. And pretty soon within like a minute, he turned them all against him. They all hate him. He goes, women are not equal, men. No woman could beat a man in wrestling. I'm going to offer, and he holds up like five $100 bills. $500. Any woman who can pin me. It's a little stage. It's a little improv stage, right?
Yeah.
And he goes, $500. And the women are like, yeah. He goes, wait a minute, we got to get a man up here to help manage you. So I come back up there, and he's yelling at me, and he's choosing the women, going like, who's that? Because you're not pretty enough. I mean, he's making them pay by the second.
Shit.
By the second. So finally picks a woman, and she comes up, and she's like a businesswoman. She's got a pantsuit on with it. She takes off her heels. She goes, what do I do? I said, just pick up his leg. I knew he'd go. Just pick up his leg. He picked up his leg. He flops on his back. She goes, I give her bam, 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 bam. The place goes crazy. She jumps up like she won the Olympics. She's like, the crowd's going crazy. Andy Kaufman gets up behind her, right? He just picks the money up off the piano, like the $500. He waves it like Snidely Whiplash, like evil, waves it and just kicks over the side door, the emergency door, this metal door, just kicks it open and runs outside. And people go crazy. They went nuts. They were jammed in the door trying to get to him. Tables were flying, and he jumps in a limo. The limo is waiting outside with Albano and Lassie, and they just take off.
Oh my god!
You couldn't even do the show. We couldn't do the show for 4 acts, man. I mean, he did completely rearrange the place, man.
God.
I'd never seen anybody do that in my life.
Oh my god!
Then he came back the next night. He's like, "Hey, thanks a lot, man. That was great." I was like, "Nice. I think I'm going to do that. And then he started doing it. I think I'm going to do that. It's like, yeah, that was pretty effective. Man.
Gets a response.
They forgot he was a comedian. They completely turned him into a wrestling crowd. He turned him into a wrestling crowd like that.
Shit. Did you know Zamuda? Do you know Zamuda as well?
Yeah. He did we did a book called I Killed, which is all road stories and stuff.
I love that book.
Yeah.
I read that through.
You remember
and
the
through.
Zamuda story? Wasn't it in there? One about the showgirl up in Lake Tahoe.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah.
That's a great story.
Will you tell the story? Just
Sure.
people
So
know about
Zamuda.
this?
So Andy Kaufman was doing that singer. What's his name? The lounge singer.
Tony Clifton.
Tony Clifton.
Yeah.
Sure. So some guy that owns a casino, a big Andy Kaufman fan up in Tahoe, calls up and says, "I want to book Andy Kaufman." And so his manager was George Shapiro. George says, and Andy doesn't go out and do these things. He can't book it. The guy goes, I'll tell you what, I didn't. Let me book who you got? You book Tony Clifton. Yeah, let me book Tony Clifton. I'll play along. I'll play the game.
Yeah.
I'll book Tony Clifton at the casino. The guy goes, I'm telling you, it's not Andy. It's Tony Clifton. He says, yeah, okay, sure. All right. So he books him. The guy's first night, Tony Clifton's up on stage, and the casino owner's in the back of the room, and Andy Kaufman walks over to him and goes, hey, how you doing, man? Guy looks at Andy, looks at the stage, goes, what the fuck? And it was Zamuda with all the prosthetics on, right? So he's up on stage doing the act. Well, he comes off stage, and there's a showgirl there going, I'm a huge Andy Kaufman fan. Oh, my God. Pushes him into the dressing room. They have sex. He has to keep the prosthetics on. They have sex the rest of the week. Every time they have sex, he has to keep the makeup. He has to do it. Have sex with Tony Clifton.
My God.
Right? So at the end of the week, she goes, I come down to Los Angeles once in a while, Andy, so maybe we can get together sometime. And so Zamuda gives her Kaufman's number, right? Sure enough, like a week later, she calls, I'm in LAX. I'd like to come see you. And he's like, sure. And he says, sure. She comes over. They do the deal. Now, here's the thing. Zamuda was not circumcised.
Yeah.
Kaufman was circumcised. She never noticed the difference.
Oh my God. Oh my God. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love that.
There's probably
I love
something
that
illegal
story.
in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Sex by fraud or whatever.
Oh, whatever.
But it's a funny story.
Good story. He's the best.
Isn't it all sex by fraud? Somehow or another.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I'm gonna love you forever. You're right, man. You're right.
When they play this when I'm running for president in 2048, and then he said that.
Yeah, I think the bar's been lowered enough for that one. Yeah.
We had I'll tell this very, very quickly, but we had an incident once where I was working with a charity event, and this charity event wanted to do a comedy show at the Comedy Store, and they were being a huge asshole to me. I was booking the show, and they were being just huge fucking assholes as we were getting the show together. And I would go and meet with them and go see them, and I'd have my girlfriend with me, and the guy would be like, oh, I can't believe a girl like this would want to date a fat piece of shit like you, and like kept fucking slamming me in front of her and was like really rude. And then right after that was like, look, we need one more comedian on the lineup. We have a choice. Comedy Store gave us a choice between two comics that are in town. So either we get Al Madrigal or we get this guy Tony Clifton. Which one would you rather have? And I said Tony Clifton would be great for the children's cancer charity event. and he showed up. He showed up ready to go, and I got to work with him for a whole day, and it was magic. And he was in the whole outfit with the whole bit, and then he got up on stage at the end of the show, and one of the first things he says is. He goes, look at all these fucking people! Look at all these gay bastards in the sides. I've never seen so many dicks on chins in my life. God, look at this gay bastard. And he just kept fucking going after people. And then this woman goes, excuse me, we do not appreciate that kind of thing here. And he goes, why don't you put your face on a vagina, you rug muncher. Just fucking goes out. And he's so rude, and he's just going after these people and dropping all sorts of racist shit everywhere. And people are freaking out. And in the middle of all this, Rich, right in the middle, he goes, I'm gonna tell a story real quick about I was once at this bar next door, and I'm sitting over there, and I look down the bar, and I see this big fat pile of shit. This woman turns out, Susan Boyle. You know this woman, Susan Boyle? God, she smelled like rotten eggs and a dead fish, I'll tell you that. So I take her upstairs, and I start fucking her in the ass. As you do. And I'm fucking her, and then while I'm fucking her, she starts singing this song. And this is the song we're going to close with tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, from Les Miserables, I dreamed a dream. And then they play the music, and he sings, I dreamed a dream of Susan Boyle's asshole. And it fucking brought the house. Everyone was crying or they were angry. It was one of two. People started asking for their donations back. I've never been happier in my whole life.
That's a good pack. I like that.
It was a nice fuck you. Fuck you.
No. I'm not finished fucking. You're finished fucking. I ain't finished fucking.
Yeah. It was very nice. It was my girlfriend came for the show and laughed her ass off the whole time. Nice. It was very, very nice. Now, you got to be, how many times did you do Tonight Show with Carson?
About 14, I think. I have the set list of what I did on the computer and all, and I had written them down, but I don't about half the tapes. I didn't keep all the tapes, or I didn't tape them all. I don't know.
You can get them from the Carson people now.
Well, I've heard that. I'm on I don't know how to contact anybody. I'm on the greatest stand-up DVD collection. Like, I'm one of the comics, but I had to go buy my own. I don't know how to contact
I only know because they show the show on Antenna TV,
right,
and I watch it all the time. Yeah. And there's always commercials on there talking about, like, if you need archival footage, whatever, they'll sell you the footage so you can buy it from them. Yeah. So you can contact them about any tape, and then they probably have it available.
But how much are you going to sell it to you for?
That I don't know, but I can.
Matt, I would love to
I'll get you
Matt knows a lot of stuff about that because he actually introduced me to Antenna TV, and now I'm fucking obsessed with it.
It's great.
I can't get it, though.
What?
I'm over in the valley. You got to like Time Warner or something.
Well, it's on over the air. Yeah. If you have an antenna on your TV, it's on digital channel 5.2. You can watch it that way. Or it's...
What about the Museum of Television and Radio?
Yeah, they might have it there, too.
Yeah.
What?
Museum of Television and Radio. They probably have the whole archive. You could go in and watch it.
I'm going to get your
This is a lot of effort.
I'm going to get your number and
I'll get you.
talk me down off the cliff.
I'll see what I can do.
Talk me down.
Yeah.
I love
because there's a
watching
website
the
you can go to and you tell them like what you want, and then they like...
Why don't you just do it for him, nerd?
The reason I never checked is I know it's a whole different thing, but when we did I Am Comic, we had to get rights for one of my Tonight shows or something. It cost them a ton of money just for a documentary. So I don't know what it is, but I was like going, I don't know if I want to spend it. But I did about 14 of those, and I think I did 4 with Leno, and I did about a dozen Lettermans. I did everything you were supposed to do. You know what I mean? I didn't make the next level. I did everything I was supposed to do, Coach. I did it all. I don't know what happened out there.
Now, you were in Roxanne.
Yeah. Oh, wait. Before we get to Roxanne, I just want to talk a tiny bit more about Carson, just because you have made me, Matt, obsessed with watching it. I watch it every night, and now I'm like obsessed with like, I watch the monologue to see how
and what's sad is that show, Carson, by the way, Carson reruns are the best place to watch stand-up on TV these days. Yeah, like there's more stand-up on Carson from 1978 to 1992 than there is on any other talk show that's on the air right now.
100% true.
Like
that's
Fallon, it's once a month.
Really?
Kimmel,
Once a month?
never.
Yeah.
Really?
Kimmel doesn't do it. He does it literally once every 3 months because it doesn't work very well in their setup. So
like these late night shows, they just don't show stand up anymore.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I love watching, especially last night. I think it was last night I watched Gallagher was on, and like I've heard of Gallagher. I've never seen Gallagher live. I mean, I may have seen him when I was a kid.
Look
some
up
point.
his Showtime specials. They're pretty
my
good,
God,
actually.
dude. Just watching him on there, and you're like, what the fuck is this? Like, it's crazy, and there's weird like proppy things. But okay, here's what I want to know, Rich. Will you walk us through as much as you can remember of what a day leading up to and then going and taping the show would have been?
Something
like
so
Carson?
you've practiced it many times. You practiced it. You know, you go around a comedy store and the Improv, and I'd go down to the Comedy Magic Club, drive all the way down there, down to Hermosa Beach. Those are the places that are up the Ice House.
Yeah.
You just practice as many times you can. Bang it, bang it, bang it. Get it down tight. You know what it is. It was a set where you're pulling a joke from this part, a joke from this.
5 minutes or
5 minutes?
5 minutes.
Right.
So the day of, you got to go over there. The show was whatever it was taped. I forget, 5:30 or whatever. I don't know what time. I'm looking at Jeff like it's about that. So you get over there, early, but the whole day is pointed towards that. You wake up, you got your outfit, you think, your whole energy is trying to get ready for that 5:30 thing. And you get over and nervous. I remember I get over there and you got your little dressing room and you're in there and maybe you bring a friend or two. I remember once I had a couple friends with me. And one guy was a younger guy who was just starting out comedy. And I'm standing, I got this old suit. I'm trying to get it right. I'm standing in front of him, looking in the mirror. And he goes, man, you spend a long time looking in the mirror there. I go, yeah, I'm going to go out in front of about 12 million people right now. So I want to try to get it right. It's the place where I'm putting my nerves right here, But it's just nervous. It's just nervous, because that 5 minutes is just nervous. Yeah. And so then, when you don't, with this show back then, you didn't see Johnny beforehand. It was like Letterman was different. Letterman would come in your dressing room and they'll like chit chat or something. But Johnny was, he was his own thing, and you're there. You're just there waiting. And the comics were always on around 12:05.
Yeah,
it was like halfway through the show or whatever, 12:05. Comics were on, and so I remember before I did my first Tonight Show, I got a message from Jerry Seinfeld, and the message was, "You've already hit the home run. Don't trip when you're rounding the bases. It doesn't look good for the fans." Right. So you've already done all the work. You've done it all. You just want to come out there. So it's like trying to keep your head clear, because guys have blocked. I mean, the guys have come out there. They practice stuff. They know the bit. They know. But you're doing an unusual order. It's an artificial little thing. You pulled jokes from different hunks, and it's like a greatest hits little package.
Yeah, it's not the way you would do it on stage at all.
No, there's no natural flow, because they want you to pull the best thing and the best thing out of that, and whatever it is, you cobbled together this 5 minutes. And so you're trying to like have it in your mind, and then you get behind the curtain, and then it's like really, once you're behind the curtain, this guy, he'd say something, some people or whatever, and don't worry, it's just your career, and open up the curtain, right? So everybody's been doing it a million years, right? And so, you get out there and you do it and you come off, and I remember coming off, and especially when I was, there was a period when I was drinking and a period when I wasn't drinking, so up to 85, I was drinking the first couple ones. And you come off stage the first time I come off, and it's a great set. It was great. And he hands me a beer. Jim McCauley was at the talent coordinator. He hands you a beer. Go stand right over here. You stand over there. So at the end of the show, Johnny walks the same way he walks every night, and you're there waiting. So then he stops, has a little moment with you, a little chit chat, and he goes on. Then you go home, and then it's like, that night I went over to the Improv here, and it's on the TV in the bar.
Sure.
So I'm standing there. There's all the comics, for the first time, and it's a party for me. I'm the star of the party. And then he has the same thing he says every time, I'm glad you're in a good mood tonight, because we're bringing a comic out for the first time, and I always like it when the crowd's in a good mood for the first time for a comic. He said the same thing. The comics would lip sync it. They don't like just lip along with him, He said the same thing. And then it's a party. And then I come home, and then there's the messages coming. And the message machine would just fill up with people calling, and that was the high. And then the next day you go, okay, I'm back on the plane to Cleveland. Okay, what happened? I didn't get a call from the president of show business. What happened?
I remember we had Tom Dreesen on our live show, and he told me off stage, I asked him about, doing the Tonight Show so many times, because he did it, I don't know, like 70 times or whatever, right? And he said that he liked coming back here. It was like fun for him to do a spot here, because he said before every Tonight Show, the last spot he would run, it would be here at the Improv. And he said he bombed every single time the night before the Tonight Show doing his set here.
Really?
And then he would go on the Tonight Show, and it would do great on TV. But he said, like, whenever he would run the 5 minutes here, it would always bomb. And he's like, am I going to do this tomorrow? What am I going to do? And then he'd go, and it went great, and then it was fine. But I thought it was kind of funny that he bombed every night before.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. Look, Rich, it's absolutely incredible to have you come and do
you
this.
guys were great. Thank you.
Everybody should check out this book, Kicking Through the Ashes. Is it available right now?
Amazon, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, if you can get out there, go get a copy of the book. It's really incredible. It tells so many interesting stories about this life that we lead, that we try to do what we can and do our comedy jokes. How often do you perform? Do you perform?
Yeah, I still perform,
constantly?
but mostly it's like I don't do many comedy clubs anymore because of the age thing. It's okay. I mean, you age out. I look like Nosferatu bent over a young girl when I'm in a comedy club now, right? But now I go. I do cruise ships. I do casinos. All that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Country clubs, whatever. It's a hodgepodge. But I'm working 2-3 times a month.
Well, we'd love to have you come do the nighttime show in November.
I'm in.
I can't wait. It's going to be a lot of fun. And we'd love to have you back and have you come chat with us again sometime soon.
Anytime, man.
It's so cool. Where can people find you?
Find me on Facebook,
media?
Ritch Shydner, RichShydner, and same with Twitter, and same thing with my website, RichShydner.com.
Awesome. That's awesome. Mike, where can people find you in the internet?
At Mike Black Attack on all social media.
Oh, yeah.
And what about you, Matt Walker?
Go to funnymat.com. I got links to everything there. Or if you are not a fan of Howard the Duck, you can let me know at mattwalkersucks.com.
Most people. You can always get me at Stephen Glickman on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, STPHEN. And then don't forget to subscribe to the Nighttime Show. This, of course, music you're hearing right now, Ex Mortis. So don't forget to go out there and check out their album.
Yeah.
And guys, this has been so much fun. We love you. This is the Nighttime Show.